Assalamu alaikum and welcome to my channel. I left the UK in 2022 for a life not here in the UK, with many Muslim countries to choose where to live. I was born in the UK. I lived my life in the UK. My grandparents, like many other British Pakistanis, came to the UK in the late 50s and we've been there ever since. And this is my Pakistani life. Assalamu alaikum. Right guys, right, it's been 14 years of our marriage, hasn't it, Myra?
Yep.
Once again, the hidden, the concealed, the unknown wife behind the camera. This is a wife reveal. Hello, I'm Myra. Hi. Okay, let's stop goofing about now. So, let's talk about life now. Whether you watch us for hijrah purposes or not hijrah purposes. We know a lot of people just watch us for entertainment. They are possibly considering hijrah, but it's not important to them. And maybe they just want to visit Pakistan more. So this topic is for everyone, right? Not just for the people that are looking to relocate. So one of the things we're going to discuss is one of the biggest and main topics, and it's relationships, marriage, it's commitment, it's nikah, it's before marriage, after marriage, during marriage.
Are we?
I don't know, I'm just trying to make it sound interesting. So guys, let's begin. To marry or not to marry, or to hijrah or not to hijrah. 1, 2, 3.
How have the last 14 years been?
It's been lovely, it's been amazing. I mean, we spent it in different cities. We spent it mainly in the UK, and now towards the latter part of our life it is now in Pakistan. I mean, we don't know where we're going to be in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't come to that state where life prolongs beyond 100 years.
It seems like marriages are breaking down. Another issue is that people find it really hard to get married, and then they do get married and it's hard to stay married. And yeah.
And what is important in marriage? That's what you're saying. What's important in a relationship?
Yeah, so I was thinking about our relationship and how it's evolved over the years. Like in the beginning, it's amazing because you're newly married and you're having lots of fun. Then after that fun comes like a difficult phase where you start getting on each other's nerves and you're getting to know each other.
You're like, this is it now?
This is it now, yeah.
It's like when you get a new job and you're like all excited because the money's come through at the end of the month and it's all new, you don't have that much headache yet. Once you're about 3 months into your new job, that's when you realise what's hit you. Sometimes people are like, oh, this is the best job ever, but others are like, oh, not this again.
Yeah, so it gets hard, doesn't it? It gets hard within like a couple of months sometimes, within the first year. Or the first year is quite challenging, really. It's a whirlwind. But anyway, so recently, so normally I don't really do couples therapy. I'm not a couples therapist, but I generally work with women mostly, and what I've found is like a pattern, and then I realized actually it's a very similar pattern to what we went through. And I'm essentially coaching people through or helping them heal from whatever disappointments they had in the relationship, and then coaching them through how to actually, what kind of mindset to actually have in a marriage. Think about what's your bigger purpose around marriage. Yeah, and I thought it'd be good to share. So often when people get married, their first thing is that, oh, I'm gonna have a good time, I'm gonna feel really loved. These are the people that come to me, so they want to feel loved, they want their needs to be met, they think it's just going to be fun and have a good time, so that's just like those immediate needs, but we always have to think about what then, like what's so important about being loved. That was the main question, wasn't it? What is important in a relationship? Yeah, so it's different things for people. Generally it is that they want to feel good in the relationship. But then when you look deeper at that, okay, so when you feel loved, when you feel like your needs are being met and you're taken care of and whatever it is that you want to feel, then what? Then what's going to happen? It's going to make you happy. So then when you're happy, then what?
Exactly. So what's important in a relationship? Now I said there's 3 things important in a relationship.
I have finished.
Go ahead.
So then when you're happy and you're content and everything's going well for you personally, then what's going to happen? then there's going to be a peaceful home. The home's going to be a content place. If you're happy, you're going to feel content. The home's going to be content. And then what happens in a content home?
Content things.
Yeah, content things. People thrive in a content environment, in a happy environment, in a peaceful environment. People thrive. And why do you need to thrive? Because it's fulfilling. When we're thriving in our careers, we're thriving in terms of our deen. That's where we want to be, right? Because you want your children to thrive in this environment. And then when your children are thriving in this environment that you're thriving in as a couple, then the people around you. So it's always you work on yourself, then the people that are around you, inshallah, they will follow suit. And then the people in your extended environment, they will also watch and see and hopefully learn from that. The people on your street will watch and see and learn from that. So yeah, that. So what were you going to say, Farhan?
Two main bits are important: shared values and ambitions for the future, and communication. And if you want, you can put in the main recipe that you both hold the same values at heart. So one of you might look at things from a Islamic and contemporary approach. Someone in the relationship, the other partner in the relationship might think, okay, let's do what others are doing. What are YouTubers doing, what are people on TV doing, what the celebrities doing. Let's do what they're doing, not necessarily what our religion tells us. So it's always good to have the shared values and interest and goals for the future. That communication skills where you can actually talk things out. From the moment you get married, 5, 6, 7 years into your relationship, you're both very, very different people. So likewise, growing is a continuous aspect of any relationship, and for a healthy relationship, you kind of have to adapt and change as you're going along.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned the communication, because that's one of the things that it's a huge skill to be able to communicate. Because often when people are listening, they're listening and they're getting defensive, they're listening and they're getting upset, they're listening and then they need to react. But that's not how you should listen. So that's something else that I'm still practicing, we're still practicing in our relationship. It's an ongoing struggle that you do get defensive at times, you do want to react, but it's really important to listen, notice what you're feeling and keep a note of it, because that what you're feeling is often your own problem, and that's something that you need to deal with later. But your purpose for listening should be to really understand where your partner's coming from. What is it that he's saying or she's saying? What do they need? What's the issue here? What they're trying to get across? Why they're so upset, or why they're frustrated? Why is this so important to them? Really, really understand it, and you realize that once you've really understood it, you're not going to be angry anymore. Or you're not going to be upset anymore. Most of the times you're upset and angry because you haven't understood where they're coming from. And if you are still angry and upset, then that's something that you work through on your own first, and then you bring it back if you've actually got a valid reason to be angry and upset. That's key really in terms of communication. And then always when you are communicating, or whatever situation you're in, always think about, what's my main goal? Okay, it's a peaceful home, a home where I can thrive. My partner needs to thrive as well. So we want you both want to thrive. So what I'm about to say or what I'm about to do, is that going to create a thriving environment? So that was, I guess that's the two main things. What do you think about that?
That's amazing. So how would somebody take this information and apply that for searching for their new partner, new spouse? Because you put down in your profile, I'm looking for somebody this age, this sort of background, this sort of educational level maybe, or also she must be willing to grow, have the shared values and have good communication skills.
I think that it's going to be difficult to put that somebody has good communication skills, because really people have poor communication skills.
Yep. Even though they think they do.
Yeah, and it's even like, I can't remember which scholar it was. This is something, and they said that people just don't know how to talk anymore. They don't know how to communicate anymore. Instead, they just fight and argue and react. And I think if people know that, look, I'm going to get married and there's going to be issues in communication, there is going to be, and I need to become a better listener and understander and not a reactor. And if you're somebody that reacts a lot, then honestly get therapy for that.
Exactly. There's a lot of give and take in a relationship, a lot of give and take.
Yeah. So
it's about being mature, isn't it? Absolutely. It's known that we are now maturing at a much later age There was a time where 13-year-olds were mature. Even here in Pakistan, you would see 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, like very mature. And then in the UK, the equivalent would be right now 28, 29, 30. There was a time when, a long time ago, and this story was always told to us, the 18-year-old Sultan Mehmed Fateh Ottoman Sultan, who conquered Constantinople, he was only something like 18 years old. And this used to be told to us when I was growing up, that look, at your age the Sultan conquered an entire city. In the past compared to now, and also the life expectancy was much lower back then, but still 18-year-old is still 18-year-old. An 18-year-old man back then was able to lead an army, was a sultan, was able to capture what is now called Istanbul. And if you sort of speak to any 18-year-olds in the UK, you'd be happy that they can capture on video games and phone games, can capture enemy, whatever, in a game like that. But in reality, fighting a war or being able to manage your own time and life is virtually impossible now.
And I think that we can't start at the 18-year-old. We have to think about the parents. And as parents, if parents are reacting to their teenagers, then what kind of example are we setting? There's so many, like I've worked with quite a few teenagers, and the parents are reacting to each other. The parents are reacting to the teenagers' emotions. They're not able to just listen. So the same thing applies again. So just how we were just talking about, just listening to understand, to really understand, and then respond. And if you're not able to respond in a coherent way in that moment, keep listening, and say, you know what, I'll get back to you. Let me have a little think. I've listened to everything you've said, and I'm going to come back to you. Then go back, really think about it. If you don't have time for that, then that means you don't have time for kids. Because then what are we bringing up? What are we adding to society? We're increasing the ummah, increasing it with what? Garbage? I know that's really harsh, and especially from somebody that doesn't have children. But even as somebody that doesn't have children, I can still see what's going on around. And I'm working with these kids. I'm working with the mums, I'm working with the wives. I've even spoken to the husbands when couples have issues. And often it is that one person hasn't understood what the other person is doing for them. So one person is saying, he doesn't do, so the wife is saying that he doesn't do what I need, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care, he's not thoughtful enough. But then when I'm speaking to him, he's saying, I'm doing this because of this, I'm doing this because I'm thinking that she will find this difficult, XYZ. And it's just that you're not loving the person in the way that they need to be loved, or the person that's being loved isn't appreciating or noticing what the other person's doing for them. And it's the same in everything. So I've applied these techniques, and I'm not an expert in them. I've still had terrible conversations with people, but I've applied them at work, and they work. I've applied them in my family when there's been conflicts, and it works. I've applied them in the marriage, and it works. I've seen other people try to apply them, and it works. There's all these coaches that are charging so much money for this kind of stuff. They have courses, and they're teaching this, how to speak to your partner, how to understand, and all this kind of stuff. And really, it's the basic. It's absolutely basic. And it's unfortunate that we're not taught it growing up, and then we have to learn it as adults, and we have to pay people to teach us, and we have to pay for therapy and all this stuff. Because why do we need therapists? Because there's a lack of wisdom, I think. Exactly. I think there's a lack of wisdom amongst the elders, and that's why then our generation needs therapy. The generation after us needs even more therapy.
Passes up.
Yeah. I know.
Passes up.
And yeah, it's quite serious. it's quite serious, isn't it?
So there's couples that have relocated to Pakistan, and the relationship has broken down. There's couples that are considering relocating to Pakistan, but either the husband or the wife, one of them, is not convinced that they can live a better life here. There's situations where people are looking to get married, but as soon as they mention that their home will be in Islamabad, for example, or Lahore, the arrangement and sort of wedding is called off or pulled off, or there's no further meet or no further communication. So what is going on there then? What is going on there?
I think it's just I guess it's a change of values maybe. You know how you said that after about 7 years people change. It's just if suddenly, like for example with us, when we were first married, you absolutely hated Pakistan. You hated Pakistan, you hated the idea of it, you had a really bad experience here.
Didn't visit for many years.
And you were like, I don't want to go ever. I don't want to go there, I don't want to talk to anybody there, I'm just done with it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you decide you want to live here.
Yeah.
So that was a big change for me.
Exactly.
That you want to live in Pakistan.
And that was like literally what, 7 years later or something?
Yeah.
7 years later, I did the full 360. I was like, we're moving. Got 5 years, we're moving there. And
the thing was, I'm somebody that I'm a bit rebellious. So if somebody says to me, we're moving, that's it, then I'd just be a bit like, no, I'm not. And that's it. But you were really wise about it. You just kept bringing me. You kept saying, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And then I was also a little bit wise about it, because I wouldn't just argue with you. I'd just be like, yeah, he's just saying it, let him. It's not like we are gonna. And I was open. So I kept coming here, I kept visiting with you. And because we were both being wise about it, you were giving me time, you were, luring me in, and I was being wise. I wasn't having, fighting with you about every time you mentioned it. It worked out, alhamdulillah.
But this is the thing though, okay, fair enough, you're married and then you've moved to Pakistan. What about those relationships that they are looking to get married, they haven't yet moved, or they have moved, but when they are looking for a potential spouse, they tell them that, look, I'm living here. And this is both ways. This is for women or men in the West, or women and men here in Pakistan, where you say, look, I'm living here, I'm staying here. And then it kind of changes the scenario. I mean, there's brothers who have been getting married or trying to get married recently, and because they've made it very clear that they have no intentions to leave Pakistan, or the spouse will not have that nationality, it's made the sort of journey to get married so much more harder.
Yes, when it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Of course.
Our biggest tool is dua, isn't it? As believers, our biggest tool is dua.
Yeah.
And I think that dua is something that's been a key thing in our relationship.
Yeah.
And one of the points I'd actually written down here, I wrote a point down that I thought was kind of like a pro tip in our marriage, which applies to this situation that you're talking about, is that when you want something, always ask Allah. So instead of asking, so whenever in a relationship, when a person is expecting something from a parent, or they're expecting something, it might be a right, it's your right, but instead of being angry about the right, if you're asking Allah for that right to be fulfilled, that your husband might not be fulfilling, that somebody in the family might not be fulfilling, when you ask Allah, it's fulfilled in a much better way than when you put all your whenever people, it's women and men and whoever, puts all their expectations on the other person's always going to fail them and disappoint them.
We are full of problems, and we fall short in every aspect of life. Hence why doing dua will sort of curb those issues slightly, or for some people even more. Hugely.
So we went through a phase where we were getting along even better than we normally do. Do you remember? You said, have you noticed we're just getting along? And I was actually making dua at that time for us to get along even better.
But people also need to take into account that dua is not going to make everything perfect. You can't be perfect. You will always fall short. The only perfect being is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we will all fall short. Hence why we need to give and take a lot and be very patient. But there are ways in our religion where we can make the most of the tools that are given to us.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So it's that thing, isn't it? Like, it reminds me of the love and mercy ayah. That helped me so much, and I've mentioned it before. Farhan gifted me a frame. I think it was one of our anniversaries in the earlier days, and it really helped throughout the marriage. It was the one about that we're being created in pairs, and Allah has put love and mercy in our hearts. So in marriage, love does run out.
So the camera overheated and cut off. So this is about an hour later. Go ahead, Myra. Go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead.
So another point I wanted to make was, based on what you said something about how sometimes people don't know what they actually want, but they want what other people are doing.
Yeah,
or what they
that seems to be the case. And also to add to that, people don't always know what they want at the beginning. As with everyone, you kind of change, and your ideas and passions sometimes change along with it. Your core sort of values will always remain the same, but what's around it can change all the time, depending on how volatile or situations like COVID-19 changed a lot of situations. It was a time where nobody expected it to happen. It went on for a very long time, and after post-COVID, just like us and many others, we left the UK. Many families left the UK post-COVID, and even those that are still living in the UK, many families sort of changed their home, sold their home, and decided, you know what, the garden's too small, let's find a home with a bigger garden, let's do this, let's do that. So a lot of things happened during COVID and post-COVID era. So just like that, I think people's sort of plan in life or how their life unfolds will change depending on what's going on. But yeah, let's go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, I guess the values change, don't they? Like, what do they value when they're working? It's that thing. I'm just going to carry on with that point because it's a really important one. So you know how people are going to work, they're going to work to earn money. Why are they earning money? They're earning money because they want to pay bills, they want to have experiences,
bills,
want a good lifestyle.
mortgage, lifestyle, yep.
And who is that for? For them?
And
for the family?
kids, yeah.
For the kids. Okay. And then when COVID happened, they started to look into that a little bit more deeply. And it was like, oh, actually, I want to spend more time with these kids that I'm working for because I'm more valuable. The relationship is more valuable than the experiences that I can buy.
But it's that situation where they're stuck at home that forced them to think differently. Whereas before, they would be busy 40 hours a week, on the go, in and out, and they didn't have the capacity to sort of see what's going on around them. But when you're stuck at home or working at home, you don't have to get ready to go to work.
Yeah.
You're not traveling, you're not running around doing the errands or whatever. Things have been cancelled, even masjids were closed, couldn't pray in the mosque, stuff like that. You're stuck at home, and when you're stuck at home, you think, oh, all of a sudden, oh, why is this plant fake? Right? Should be a real one, it should be giving us oxygen. But up until then, you're busy, I'm only here for a bit, what does it matter, it looks good, don't have to water it, it's always going to remain green, it's never going to get dirty, it's not going to be in hassle, so it's better. But when you've got the time and when you're face to face with it, you want better, don't you? When you have the time and you notice things, then you think, you know what, it's that thing, when you see something, you can't unsee it. But for you to actually see the issue, it sometimes takes a matter of you sitting down and just having that blank slate, or just sitting down and be like, oh, yeah, that sink is a bit, it's a bit off. I should get that fixed. It's going to cause damp, right? People don't always notice things, do they?
Yeah, that's why it's really important to just, everybody's got 10 minutes. Everybody's got 10 minutes once a month. Nobody's that busy that they don't have 10 minutes once a month or fortnightly. Really, 10 minutes, it should be 10 minutes every day, where you just sit and you reflect on your day and you think about, okay, did today go according to my values, according to what's important to me? And I think people, maybe the rat race is designed to make it harder for people to have to, be able to think about, what do I actually value, what's actually important to me, am I fulfilling what's important to me? Anyway, and you can still work full-time 40 hours and still be doing things that are important to you. You still can, but we won't go into that now, I guess. So you mentioned, are people doing, they don't know what they want. People often don't know what they want, and they start thinking, what's going to make me happy is if my life looks the same as somebody's life on Instagram. And I know that a lot of young people nowadays, and even people our age, actually, a lot of my clients are often a little bit younger than me, or even older actually, or my age, and and the general kind of theme is that that person's doing this, that looks like a good life, and my life should be like that.
Yeah.
But you
I
are
want
different.
I want what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's often because you don't really know what's important to you, and you have to sit down, and that's what we then do in therapy. What is it that's bringing up in you a sense of lack when you're seeing XYZ situation, and what is it then that you actually want? And then we explore that and we come to it. And I guess in therapy then people have time to do that because they're not taking the time to do it on their own. So that's another reason why often relationships, I think, break down when you start looking externally too much and try and take points from other people's lives. Somebody else's situation isn't going to fit in your life.
You can't just download someone else's life and hope that it's compatible.
Yeah, and we have to trust that my situation, I've been specifically designed for XYZ situation, and all these things that I'm saying, they're not going to apply to an abusive situation, or if there's something terribly wrong in a relationship, it's not going to apply to that.
If a relationship's already broken all bounds and has already transgressed all norms, then no matter how much makeup you put on it, it's still wrong. That doesn't make sense. No matter how much you patch it up and try to cover it, it's still wrong.
So yeah, if somebody's abusing you and you feel like you're in danger, then all these things are not going to work. You're not going to be able to. So it comes back to.
So you're getting abused, and you think, okay, yeah, you know what I've taken away from this message is I should be doing dua. You're getting, you're getting dealt with in a way that shouldn't actually take place in a relationship. If it was done to a random person on the street, depending on how much harm there is, it's either ABH or GBH, grievous bodily harm or actual bodily harm. So you could get locked up for that if it was a random person. So why do you have to take it just because you're married? But that's just one example anyway.
Yeah, I think that's all the points really. So I think what really works for people is, and I'm sorry if you've already got an amazing marriage and you don't need to be listening to this, but just the points that I've noticed that really help in a relationship are to have the same values like Farhan mentioned, to communicate like Farhan mentioned, and then to add to those, how to achieve that is through learning how to communicate. There's so many videos on YouTube. There's something called non-violent communication that's so helpful. It's very basic. It depends what video you're going to look at. It's a very basic way of learning how to listen and speak in a way that's not going to cause triggers or be aggressive. Listen to understand. The other thing is to know temperaments. So you know yourself, you know what kind of person you are, you know what you need then, and then you learn what the people around you need. Once you know what you need, what works for you, what you're good at, what your strengths are, what your challenges are, then you can honor that and work with yourself to bring the best out in yourself. Remember, we are like the manager of ourselves, aren't we? Like a good manager brings out the best in his team. So that's how we need to know ourselves and bring out the best in us, then bring out the best in our spouse, then bring out the best in our children. If we take it on as a responsibility ourselves, then the people around us will start to mimic that. Remember, again, if they're a normal person, not if they're abusive or they have like severe issues.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is to end this off, guys. We talked about wisdom. There's a lack of wisdom, unfortunately. So let's share some. Is there any advice that was given to you that really worked that you want to share to others? Is there something you've noticed and you want to share? Is there something that you, no matter what your age is, you think has helped a relationship in the past? Share it. The comment section's there for you guys. Share the wisdom.
Yeah, that's a really good point. To share some tips, share some wisdom, share tips, share what works, instead of going too much into what isn't working, because we already know what's not working. Let's talk about what would work, what would help.
Until next time, guys. Kabul. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.